Welcome back, everyone, to Ionan's Edge. I've got the recently released Divo mash for you today. Basic specs on this knife: 14C28 hollow grind, satin reverse tanto. It also does come in a reverse tux version with a black washed blade and some of the hardware. It's got full titanium scales on it. It's got a single-sided nested liner just for the liner lock. So the scale makes up this side of the knife. This side has a milled out nested liner lock on it here. It's riding on ceramic ball bearings. Nice and smooth. And it's deployed by a blade cutout that you can either spidey flick or thumb flick open. It does have a reversible wire pocket clip that can be put on either side. Your basic measurement specs on this is 3 1/4 inches of usable fine edge, a scale length of 4 3/8, a tip to tail length of 7 1/8, and a weight on my digital scale of 3.8 ounces. So let me jump right into what I like. First of all, this is a great looking knife, in my opinion. It's simple but elegant and functional. It's a good design. It has solid ergos. There's plenty of room here, even in hammer grip. Again, I have large glove size hands. There's plenty of room here for larger fingers. If I were to move back to where I think the end of this blade is kind of, end of the scales are kind of, ending there, we end up with this much space here. So good there. Very, very good ergos. There's some nice jimping across the top. I love the way they did this. Just right, just the right amount of aggressiveness and feel to it. You can feel your finger lock in there. Easy access to the liner lock. Look what they did here. They machined this whole side out. There's no problem, even if you have big hands, getting your thumb on this. And the knife just falls closed. Money. Speaking of that, the action on this thing is perfect. The fit and finish on the knife is excellent. It really came out really, really nice. Nice centered blade. Look at that. Everything just came out really nice on this. I like that they did the little Divo Knives logo on the pivot. Perfect. So let's talk about a little bit more about how the knife actually works. So Kubi OEM this knife. It's definitely right up my alley. It looks and feels like a little bit more expensive knife, but really it carries well for EDC. Carries exceptionally well. There's nothing here to stop your hand from going in and out of the pocket. There's just a little bit of this blasted titanium finish on the scales. The hollow grind is super slicey. I did try some different kinds of cuts, opening some boxes, cutting up cardboard with it. It pulls really great with this hollow grind right through everything. Again, the heat treat seems to be good. I just cleaned the blade off afterwards. I'll get to the satin finish a little bit later in my review. But overall, this is a really good looking, good sized, ergonomically hand-friendly knife to use, whether you're using it in this position to kind of cut open boxes or you're pulling it through cardboard. It doesn't matter. The thing really cuts very good and simple, elegant, and easy to use handle design. So again, great on that. Are there any dislikes about the knife? I will say that it's noticeably handle heavy. The balance point on the knife is back here near where the liner lock is. I guess that kind of makes sense because they use the scales on this side of the knife as the actual liner itself. And it does have a metal, a machined titanium back spacer slash, standoff there. So the knife is a little bit handle heavy. It's going to be back in this area. There you go, before it gets right. But again, Nothing too bad, nothing that's excessive. And then finally, the Satin Blade. When I actually did put this knife into use a couple times in my pocket for EDC carry, and then out in the garage, cutting up cardboard and stuff. It doesn't have any scratches on it yet, but it does get smudged, and when you're cutting tape open on boxes and stuff, all those tape smudges really show up on the blade. It's beautiful looking, and even though I'm not normally a fan of satin finishes, I do really like this one. I think this one looks great on this knife. If you're buying it more as a user, get the black washed reverse tux version of it instead. If you're buying it because you want a knife that really looks cool when you take it out of your pocket and is still super usable with good ergonomics, then I would say try for the satin one, because this knife looks really fantastic. So let's do a couple of quick size comps for you. Okay, so there we have the mash, and let's go ahead and show you it next to another Divo knife, the growler. So you can see overall length is pretty similar, right? They're the same on this end. There's a little bit of difference of blade length on this end. And then let's finally show you another Divo knife that I think falls into this, right into this category. Here it is next to the Stout. So if we put it next to the Stout and we match up the pivots, almost the same length to the back. There's just a tiny bit of room between my hand here. And then almost identical on the blade length. I know it doesn't look that way in the picture, but it actually is. They're very, very similar. The Stout is a little thicker than the Mash, but overall, the length on these two knives is very, very similar. So there it is, comparing it to the rest of the family lineage, right? I would say it's closest to the Stout, but it's very similar. All three of these knives, I think, very, very similar in overall length. So that gives you a good idea of what you're looking at. So let me summarize for you guys real quick. This knife hasn't been out that long. There will be a second production of these. They sold out in minutes. At $122 from Blue Creek Knives, with a second batch on the way, you would do well to try to add one of these to your knife collection. If you've enjoyed the other Divo knives, if you like those, if you like the way they look and feel, and the overall build quality is excellent on this thing, I would highly advise grabbing yourself either this one or the Tuxedo, the reverse tux one. It's a fantastic knife. It feels like a lot more expensive knife in your hand. It doesn't feel like a $120 knife. It feels like a $180 knife. And like I said, the action on these things is impeccable. So there you have it. The Divo Mash. It's been offered through Blue Creek Knives. There will be another batch coming in the future, so keep your eyes peeled. Hit up the notification over at Blue Creek. Another really, really solid design from Kevin and Lefty over at, Colin and Kevin over at Divo Knives. So definitely check it out. Keep it on your watch list and see if you can get one of your own. All right, that's all I got for you today, folks. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to check out the Divo Mash. Thanks for watching, and stay sharp, everyone.